Hello, my name is Joe Swanson. I live in Rhode Island with my wife Bonnie, my daughter Susie, and my son Kevin. Kevin is in the military currently fighting the war. I am the only handicapped local police officer in Quahog. I catch criminals and take them to jail, just like a normal police officer does. But what is unusual about me being the person that I am? I am a big fan of Slipknot, a really popular heavy metal band. It was first formed in the mid 1990s by a fellow Iowan named Corey Lee Taylor. I turned on the news station on. The local news to anchor Tom Tucker said that a flea market is in town for a few days. Tom Tucker said, quote, local Spooner Street resident Glenn Quagmire is at the flea market selling some CDs, Xbox 360 games, and other kinds of stuff that Quagmire likes. His co-anchor, Joyce Kinney, said, I'm not going to say what he likes. Let's just leave it out of the news. Then I told my wife Bunny about the flea market. Bunny said out of the blue, Joe, I don't care what you do. Just go to the fucking flea market. I drove to the flea market with my change. I saved up over 30 years. Then I looked around to see if I can find Quagmire. I saw 3 very interesting people at this flea market. One of the people that was selling some modified jailbroken Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 consoles when it was an incubus named Seth. Seth Green, Seth MacFarlane, and besides him was a curtain character I recognized immediately. It was none other than Bowsette. Right by Seth and Bowsette's stand, there was a certain character selling anime and manga. That certain character was Ultra Instinct Shaggy, and besides him with his Ultra Instinct Scooby-Doo. The last person by Ultra Instinct Shaggy's stand was a very out-of-place character for a flea market. It was Rain from the Blood Rain series. She was selling some rare video game memorabilia, like a WWE SmackDown versus Raw's 2009 Limited Collector's Ring, an Xbox launch team original Xbox console. I was amazed how many things there were at this flea market. I had to find Quagmire before the flea market closes. It was getting very late. I saw a security guard right near the entrance to the flea market. I asked the security guard that is the guarding in the flea market about Quagmire's location and flea market stands. I introduced my name as Joe Swanson. I told him I'm a good friend of Quagmire's. The security guard told me that Quagmire's the very last stand right by the game store. That's in the middle of the flea market before he left for the day. The security guard and I shook hands. He introduced himself as John Wick. We then said our goodbyes and we parted ways. I then saw Quagmire selling something to customers, which was probably a fucking dick. Which the customer was a character named Evil Rose from the very obscure PlayStation 2 video game Rumble Roses. When Evil Rose left, I asked Quagmire what does he even have for sale at the flea market. Quagmire was very surprised to see me at the flea market. Quagmire said, Giddy, you! I got all kinds of stuff for you, Joe. I asked Quagmire if he had any Slipknot-related merchandise. Quagmire then opened a box full of movies, video games, music albums, and consoles. There were a section for famous movie franchises and trilogies with different names on the cover. Most of them were Russian, some of them were in German, and some of them had very unrecognizable wording on them that I couldn't even read. I asked Quagmire where did he get these DVDs, video games, music, and consoles from. He claimed that he got it from a shop location somewhere in the northern United States. But he couldn't tell me where the shop is located. Then I saw an Xbox 360 logo sticking out of one of the boxes. I opened the box. What was inside the box was one of the coolest things I've ever saw. There's an Xbox 360 cool exclusive game for rock bands like Breaking Benjamin, Distribute, Type Zero, Negative, 3 Days Grace, and many more bands I've never heard even heard before. One of the 360 Xbox 360 games that I saw was Slipknot Xbox 360 game. Then I asked Quagmire how much this Slipknot game was. Quagmire said it was $10 US. Since the game was not opened, since he got them at quote-unquote shop location a couple of days ago, I gave him the $10 that he wanted, and Quagmire even gave me a plastic bag of shit, for the game. I thank Quagmire for the Xbox 360 game. When I got home, I saw that Bonnie and Susie were not even in the house. I looked everywhere and turned on my Xbox 360. I had the launch date. It still surprisingly worked after all these years. I remembered that I bought home the Slipknot, the video game, from the flea market later this evening. I decided it would be a good idea to, play the Slipknot game, of course. Then I opened that bag that Quagmire gave me, and when I saw that bag cover made my jaw drop. It was a full database of Slipknot songs, and some weren't even released to the public yet. Now here's where it gets crazy. I put the game disc of the Slipknot game into the disc tray, and I pressed close tray on the Xbox 360 dashboard. It read the disc for about a full damn 5 minutes until it finally launched the damn game. Then I greeted with something really weird and bizarre. It sounded like Cup 2. Oboro. Yeah, that's right. Oboro from a certain series I'm not going to talk about for an obvious reason. Oboro in the style was wearing American undies and an American style bikini, black boots, and she was on a black round dancing very suggestively to the viewer and shaking her huge ass while Dota by Bass Hunter was playing in the background. I was weirded out by what I saw. Since I have a wife and I don't know what to do but cheat on her with an animated character alone, let alone a character with a character that's chaotic and narcissistic as Oboro. After that weird scene played, it then cuts to a live-action version of the freeware fighting game engine called Mugen, with a matchup of Chuck Norris versus Dark Donald. Yes, Walker, Texas Ranger, Chuck Norris, which compared him to a god, and Dark Donald, a darker, more brutal version of Ronald McDonald. I wonder why Ronald McDonald got so dark in the first place. When round 1 started, after the announcer said, "Fight!" things were very chaotic in a matter of seconds. The battle finally started. The songs "It's the End of the World as We Know It" by R.E.M. and "The Final Countdown" by Europe was playing in the background. It was a pretty fitting soundtrack for the fight. I'm not going to lie. Chuck and Dark Donald were fighting like angry motherfucking mythological gods fighting against one another. They were throwing everything at each other, especially shit. Dark Donald was throwing a black-tinted fries, a black-tinted bomb, and hell, even a Burger King bomb. But Chuck did even more damage than Dark Donald. Chuck threw knives in the air, and hand grenades ran at full speed. Stopped one time, and even threw a fucking sun onto Dark Donald, causing 999 points worth of damage to Dark Donald. Luckily, Chuck managed to defeat Dark Donald in round 1. And oh boy, I wasn't ready for round 2. Round 2 started with a fucking jump made by Dark Donald to scare Chuck Norris. But that wasn't enough. He then launched, I'm not joking with you when I'm saying this, a fucking nuke that instantly killed Dark Donald in a matter of seconds. Zoink scoop! They threw a fucking nuke at him. They threw a fucking nuke at Dark Donald. Zoinks! Ruh-roh. What came next was actually quite shocking. It cut through clip of a kid getting ducked in bed by his parents, sound asleep, when his parents left the room. The peaceful music from the scary car commercials. Hey, with his parents living in the living room, the peaceful play music from the scary car commercial suddenly stopped. The zombie that popped up at the end was screaming so fucking loud it shook the whole house, causing mirrors, tables, and even dildos, kids' beds, to fully knock over and almost knocked the kid out cold. It switched to the kid's point of perspective view when he woke up. All suddenly, out of nowhere, the scary car commercial zombie jump scared the kid while he woke up nearly from his nearly knocked out state. The kid saw the scary car commercial zombie screaming. I'm not even joking with you when I'm saying this. This kid got so mad he turned to Ryu from Street Fighter. The quote on Ryu did a shoryuken on the scary car commercial zombie, square in the fucking jaw so hard, causing the zombie go flying out of the window, shattering the glass in the process, falling off the balcony, hitting railings, falling 600 feet down onto the pavement, and getting hit by an oncoming car, killing him in the process. I don't blame Ryu for trying to defend his parents from that zombie. What came next? It made me question my own mental state at this point. It panned outside a pool, what I assume was a mansion of some kind. Seth and Bowsette from the flea market I went to earlier were making out at their pool. It switched to someone looking at the quote-unquote lovers in binoculars, and when the person in the binoculars, it was my goddamn friend Quagmire said, giggity giggity goo, I'm glad I took you out too. It cut to Haiti from Steam game, the same name, playing Mortal Kombat Project on her computer. I'm not joking when I'm about to say, but her huge robot ass was sticking out of her chair. Then she chooses a character on the character select screen by the name of Seth the Incubus. I saw earlier at the flea market. What the hell is this? This has nothing to do with Slipknot. I knew Quagmire was a big perverted fucker, but I didn't know what he was doing that stab behind our backs. After all those weird, disturbing, and obscene clips played, my Xbox 360 I had, since I launched date, had the infamous red ring of death. I was furious, angry, and upset. Then I contacted Slipknot's lead singer, Corey Taylor, on the phone. When he answered the phone, I was furious and demanded what the hell this meaning of the video game. He said he doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I mentioned Quagmire that sold the game to me at the flea market. He stayed silent on the other end for 5 seconds. Corley then said to me that he would take care of it. I opened the disc tray to launch my Xbox 360. The games was still perfect condition from what I bought from the Quagmire at the flea market. I put it back in the case, put it in the bag, and sealed the bag. I heard a knock on the door. When I opened the door, it was Doom Guy from the Doom series and the Punisher from the Marvel Comics. The Punisher said that him and Doom Guy are undercover FBI agents looking for someone in Spooner Street. The Punisher asked me if I knew a resident here named Spooner Street is named Glenn Quagmire. I said yes. The Punisher then said that the FBI has a lot of complaints about Quagmire selling disturbing pirated materials at the local flea market. One of that people complained to the FBI was the band Slipknot's singer, Corey Taylor. Corey said that a pirated copy of his music was made without permission, and some of his songs that were unreleased at the time were leaked. When he was told by someone on the phone that there wasn't any of his music in the pirated material, but instead there were very weird things on the material that wasn't supposed to be there. he asked for an investigation on Quagmire and where he got the pirated goods from. And that's where he led Doom Guy and the Punisher here to ask anyone at Spooner Street any questions that, why I gave the Slipknot Xbox 360 game to the two undercover agents. The Punisher then placed the quote-unquote game on the evidence bag. The Punisher then said, "Thank you," him, and the Doom Guy left my house and headed over to Quagmire's house. I saw the Punisher and Doom Guy trying to kick Quagmire's house door like that video of the Spanish SWAT team trying to break and open the door to this person's apartment and hid it in a fear of a Quagmire seeing me. Alright. So I peeked outside my window and saw Quagmire in handcuffs being dragged out of his house by Doom Guy and the Punisher. I hauled him in their unmarked FBI car, which looked like a normal car, which I knew it was. Bonnie and Susie finally came back. Bonnie told how sorry she was speaking to me like that. I accepted her apology and finally got some peace and quiet for tonight. 2 days passes by. I received an email from Wild West. Mayor Wild West. He said in this email, "Hi, Mr. Swanson. It's Quahog's new namer, Mayor Wild West. I want to thank you for helping us solving the pirating issue in Quahog. I hope you have done a very good deed for us. In honor of doing this good deed, you are invited to town hall party that made us for you. Be sure to be here at 9:30 p.m. tonight. You don't want to miss it. Yours truly, Mayor Wild West." I told Bonnie about the party that's happening tonight and was planned there for me. She loved that I did a very good deed from our town. When we then drove to the party at 9:30 p.m., saw a lot of guests that were waiting for us. The guests were, of course, Seth, the Incubus, Bowser, Ultra Instinct Shaggy, Ultra Instinct Scooty, Rain, John Wick, Evil Rose, Obrara, Chuck Norris, Dark Donald, Ryu, Corey Taylor, and the rest of the Slipknot crew. Haiti, Doom Guy, Punchmer, whose real name is Frank Castle, and the other guests I recognized from the flea market the other day, if we forget mention. Their names were Kung Fu Man, Kung Fu Girl, Rick Taylor, and a couple of friends like Queens of Lions, CJ Lee Boy, Meat Belly, The Dark Other, Sir Horace, Sebastian other than Diamond Rebel Productions himself. Mayor Wild West, and celebrated my good deed. We had cake, ice cream, pizza, and even had an Xbox and PlayStation tournament with dicks. The winners are the tournament or the Xbox sideward. Seth and Incubus in first place. John Wick in the second place. And third place goes to Ultra Instinct Shaggy. Scoob. On the PlayStation side, where Bowsette at first place, Rain at second place, and Evil Rose at third place. In the party were over, we all exchanged contact info, phone numbers. Do for good for others. It will come back in unexpected ways. Anonymous.